So good morning, all. Well, kind of morning. It's almost lunchtime. Thank you so much for joining us today. You received an invite to this webinar due to your spring grades, spring quarter grades, and or your overall unit progress. So we hope the Zoom webinar will help you understand the academic notice process, but is not intended to replace seeking advising with the dean's office and your major department. We'd like you to seek advising as soon as possible to discuss your current academic situation with your major and or the dean's office. Before we dive in today, just a few notes. You are not going to be on camera or able to use your microphone as attendees in this webinar. We have a Q&A function for questions. So if you have a question, please use that feature as it helps us organize and we're able to answer questions live or respond through chat. You can be anonymous or you can leave your name if you have a specific question regarding your specific grades that may be something better asked through an appointment, or you can come to drop-ins with our office at any time. As you know, Zoom also has a chat function, so the chat and the Q&A are separate. We'll primarily use the chat to share websites and links with you all, and not really for answering questions. We will not be using the raise hand function either, so please utilize the Q&A. Today's content should take about 45 minutes, so we hope that you are able to stick around the whole time, and we'll have time at the end to address questions, more questions as they come up. We'll be using a couple of anonymous polls to discuss our topics, and we encourage you to participate in each poll for the benefit of the group and discussion. If for some reason the polls do not open up on your screen, it's okay. Please just continue to stick around for the webinar. And this is being recorded and will be posted later on the college website. We'll send out a reminder when the recording is ready so that you all can access that. But in the meantime, it may be helpful to have a notepad handy for notes. And I see we already are getting some questions. Love it. And we will definitely address those questions as we go through the webinar here. So just keep those questions handy, okay? All right. Next slide.
Because it'll make it easier for our panelists, advisors to keep track of the questions that they've been answering.
Yes. So we'll go ahead and introduce ourselves. So there's several advisors on the webinar today, but only myself and Andra will be speaking. So my name is Ashley. I'm an advisor in the dean's office here. My side of the screen is the left side. As you can see, both of us have many interests. I'm a cool mom. I try to be. If you know Mean Girls, I hope you do. I'm not that old. I'm not a regular mom. I'm a cool mom. I also have, well, I had a Chihuahua. I'm a Chihuahua person. They're my spirit animal. So you can see my Chihuahua there, Peanut. She was my little princess for 15 years. I also am a huge foodie. I love specifically Asian foods. Vietnamese coffee is a picture there. And then there's also spicy pork. And then Costco is everything to me. I'm an old lady at heart. I can't help it. I will go to Costco any day, anytime for anything. And then you can see also the Fresno State Bulldogs. So I did my undergrad at Fresno State, BA in psychology, and then I did my master's at NC State with the counselor education focused on college counseling and student development and career counseling. And then I have my pronouns are she, her, and then I'll pass it on to Andra.
Hi, everybody. My name is Andra Soria. I am also an advisor here at the dean's office. My pronouns are also she, her. My hometowns are both Mexico City and Tucson, Arizona. So that's why you're seeing pictures of me at the pyramids of Teotihuacan and also the Sonoran Desert. Gorgeous, very hot. I went to the University of Arizona for both my undergrad and my master's. I'm a Pisces, if you are into astrological signs. And I'm also a dog person. If you tell me or ask me anything about my dogs, I won't shut up. You can see them right here. The one on the left is Barry Allen. The one on the right is Mina. And they are precious angels. And I also want to give a shout out to our advisors who are helping us today, answering our Q&A. So Alina, Erin, and Charles, thank you so much for being here. And so definitely, if you have any questions, please use the Q&A function and they will be able to support you as best they can. Now, Ashley and I will go off camera so we can just focus on the content and then we will come back out at the end.
Great, perfect. Well, welcome to summer. Our office sent some notifications out regarding spring quarter grades and units. The messaging from our office has asked you to take action for advising since you've entered the process or are continuing the process of academic probation, also known as academic notice. Some of you may have already talked with the dean's office or your major advisor to discuss your progress toward the end of last quarter, or maybe you're already in academic notice process prior to last quarter. For those of you that are just starting or getting started, it's okay. It's never too late to reach out. We hope attending today's webinar will help everyone to continue these discussions and get started exploring and using campus resources so that you can return to good academic standing. Lastly, we hope this presentation will prompt you to seek advising from your major advisor and the dean's office. Start with your major and then come see us in the dean's office. Plan to discuss your most recent grades and the upcoming quarter classes. You might want to also discuss any of your academic summer plans. The goal is that you can be back in good standing as soon as possible. All right, so our goals for today, as we mentioned earlier, we have some short polls during the workshop. The moderators will see your responses, but your responses to the polls are anonymous to other participants. Also remember there are different ways to ask questions. So the Q&A is where we want you to go. If you happen to need to ask a little more direct, precise question, you can chat the hosts and the panelists, but it may not be a quick response to that. And it may be something we need to follow up with you in an advising appointment. We might not answer your question right away. If we know, we will cover it in an upcoming slide, but we will review all questions at the end of the presentation. To help familiarize everyone with the Q&A function, please take a moment to type in the Q&A box where you're viewing this webinar from right now. Okay, I have one person say from home. All right, that works. Laptop. What city are you in? What state are you in? Are you local? Are you out of state? Are you out of country? I have Paso Robles. Somebody else is at home. LA. Someone on their phone in state. Awesome. Yeah, so just making sure everybody can use the Q&A feature. It looks like y'all are getting to it. If you have any difficulty, you can chat us and we can help you out, but it sounds like everybody's been able to access it. So awesome. Okay. All right. So as the slide says, our goal after this presentation is to ensure that you all are able to get back into good standing and you'll be able to define what good standing is and what academic notice is. We'll also start an action plan to build on what you've already been doing to support you. And we'll be able to identify some campus resources and strategies that can help you return to good standing. Okay. Next up. All right.
All right. So we want to check first your basic knowledge about academic notice. So there's going to be a poll that pops up on your screen. And like Ashley said, if it doesn't, don't worry about it. We're just trying to gauge where you all are at. But we want to check your knowledge about academic notice. So please respond to this first one, which is, what is academic notice on the basis of GPA? So a student is on academic notice on the basis of GPA when the quarter and or cumulative UC GPA grade point average, or GPA, is A, below a 1.5, B, below a 2.0 but above a 1.5, C, below a 2.0 GPA, or D, I don't know. And if you don't know, that is also totally okay. Ash, can you press, I think, the to launch the poll? Oh,
Did we not? I think we just had it where people can put their answers in the chat.
okay.
I don't think we had a poll.
Oh, all right. So yeah,
That's okay.
the answer is B, below a 2.0, but above a 1.5. So if you aren't sure what a GPA is, a grade point average, or how it's calculated, please discuss this at your next advising appointment. You can also review the information in OASIS, and there is a little tab that says check out the GPA charts and tools. And then under that GPA charts and tools tab, there's a subsection called GPA calculator. So you can use that if you have any questions about calculating it. But you can always come to the dean's office and we can help you with that as well.
You know what? We did make a poll.
No.
Bear with us, y'all. Let me just launch it so everybody can get practice doing it, because clearly we don't have practice doing it. But I saw a lot of B's in the chat when we were answering that question, so y'all were on it. But now you know for sure what that is. Okay, so we have 14 people, 14 to 14. Okay, good job, everyone.
All right. Now let's do the next one. Now that hopefully we all got some practice, let's try. What is academic notice on the basis of units or minimum progress? So in order to be in good academic standing for minimum progress, a student must A, pass at least 15 units each quarter, B, pass an average of at least 12 units in all full-time quarters, C, pass an average of 13 units each quarter, or D, I don't know. All right, those were some quick answers. And unanimously, the answers have been B, pass an average of at least 12 units in all full-time quarters. And you are correct. So the university requires students to pass an average of at least 12 units in all full-time quarters. So that means not counting summers. This average will be measured at the end of each quarter. So students that set a goal to complete an average of about 15 units a quarter can potentially graduate in 4 years. If you were a junior transfer student, you might be able to complete your degree in 2 years. But that also depends on what major you are, if you're doing a minor, if you're doing summers. So again, if you have any questions about your particular situation, please come to the dean's office and then we can calculate that for you. But both circumstances of academic notice for grades and or academic notice for units, there are different stages to the process. So first, we're going to review the academic notice process for grades. So the first step is academic notice. So if this is your first quarter in the process and your previous quarter was in good academic standing, then you are just academic notice for a single quarter. If you have been in the notice process for 2 consecutive quarters, then that is called being academic notice continued. And again, please keep in mind that that has to be 2 consecutive quarters. So if, for example, in fall, you were academic notice, and then you were back into good academic notice, or good academic standing, I mean, in winter, and then you went back into academic notice in spring, then that process starts all over again. So you would start at academic notice. And then the final process is when you have been in the academic notice process for 3 consecutive quarters and your grades have not returned to good academic standing. So that would mean either a 2.0 for the quarter or a 2.0 for the overall UC GPA. And that would be you being subject to dismissal. It doesn't always take 3 quarters to be subject to dismissal. It can also just happen after 1 or 2 quarters, again, depending on the student's circumstances. There are different factors that can cause subject to dismissal. So again, if you have questions or if you are concerned about potentially being in that status, always come see us. And there can also be more information found in the general catalog. But again, if your UC GPA, the overall one, is below that 2.0, it is important that you discuss that with the dean's office about strategies to return to that 2.0 or better, just so you can get back into good academic standing. And then if you received any D or F grades, then you should also discuss that with an advisor, because you might need to repeat those classes to improve your UC GPA, or you might not have to. So again, depending on what class it was, whether it was for your major or not, a lot of factors can go into whether you should take it or it would be beneficial for you to repeat it to improve your academic standing. It is typically best to repeat D or F grades right away, since you already have the information fresh in your mind. But again, every situation is different, so come and see us if you have questions about that.
All right. And now, what is minimum progress? So degree progress average of 12 units per full-time quarter. The university requires an average of 12 units in each full-time quarter due to, well, financial aid also plays a big part in that, but also to ensure that you are making adequate degree progress during your 4 to 5 years for most students. Minimum progress will be checked at the end of each quarter, and workload units do not count for minimum progress. So if you're not familiar, workload is like WLD 950, 910, those co-classes for like calculus or chemistry that you can find through the tutoring center. Units in approved part-time quarters do not count for minimum progress, so that counter is kind of put on a pause and you're able to take fewer than 12 units for that quarter, and that time is not counted against you. So this waiver is usually through the Student Disability Center, but could be for other reasons as well. Be careful to not overload your units just to meet your minimum progress requirements in one quarter. Talk with the dean's office and your major advisor about strategies to meet this requirement. It is really important to maintain your UC GPA. Part of the planning may include taking classes in the upcoming summer or finding some 1 to 2 unit seminars to meet unit requirements in the upcoming quarters, depending on your situation. Be aware that during regular quarters, you need a simultaneous enrollment petition to enroll at UC Davis and a community college at the same time. But during summer, you do not need a petition to be enrolled at a community college. Simultaneous enrollment is only permitted for students in good academic standing. So at this time, you all would not be able to use a simultaneous enrollment petition, but when you're back in a good standing, that is an option for you. And those do need to be discussed with your major and your dean's office prior to enrolling in those classes. Depending on your UC GPA, you may want to consider enrolling at the UC in the summer. Talk to your advisor about how to use community college or UC summer to return to good academic standing. We may advise you to take a couple of quarters to get back to good standing because we don't want you to overload on units, and that's okay. It's better to spread out units over a few quarters instead of potentially digging yourself deeper into a hole by taking too many units and then not doing as well as you could on your grades. Also remember, you may need to intentionally take your time, but do it with a plan developed between you and your advisors. Each student's situation can be different, so please see your dean's office to discuss specific circumstances. Yee, a little guy there. What counts for MP? Strategies for meeting minimum progress and using summer school. So see your dean's office. Okay, so there are different stages in the academic notice process. Let's focus on those different stages. First, we have academic notice, which is your single quarter grades were below the threshold that we talked about. So below that 2.0, but above the 1.5. So you're on academic notice for grades. The same thing goes for minimum progress units. Academic notice is for a single quarter. And then we will go to academic notice continued. So that means that you've been in the academic notice process for 2 consecutive quarters. So for example, winter and spring of 26 versus just spring of 26. So that means your GPA is below the 2.0 and your unit average for all full-time quarters continues to be below a 12. And then we have subject to dismissal for grades, which is 3 consecutive quarters on academic notice. This means you may be dismissed from the university depending on circumstances, and that is an individual process for each student. And then units, your final academic notice is you've been on minimum progress for 3 consecutive quarters with the academic notice. At that 4th quarter, you may be subject to dismissal from the university. The subject to dismissal process starts at the end of each quarter, so the beginning of the next quarter, end of the previous quarter, and you may be dismissed depending on your situation. So we strongly encourage students to discuss year-long academic plans with their major advisor and the dean's office to develop a strategy to restore units needed for minimum progress. And then let me just check the Q&A real quick to make sure we don't have anything pressing. No? Okay, awesome. Looks like our team is doing a great job monitoring. Again, if you have questions, you can pop them in the Q&A and then we can get to them at the end if we're not going to answer them in the slides. Okay, so you can see our little chart here. This is an example of minimum progress. This is not GPA based. This is strictly for not completing 12 units per quarter. So this is a visual example of how the minimum progress stages flow from quarter to quarter. Each student's situation can be very different. So it's important that you seek advising from the dean's office for your situation. And hopefully these visual examples can help you understand. And we want to emphasize the importance of advising to discuss your specific situation. All right, so let's do the example of the academic notice process. In this scenario, our student has entered the academic notice process based on the calculation for minimum progress at the end of fall quarter, so fall 25. This could be the student's first quarter at UCD, or they're a continuing student that was previously in good academic standing. Their average for all full-time quarters was less than 12 units per quarter. In this scenario, we're not including grades as a factor. This is only to explain minimum progress. And then I have some Q&As popping up, and we'll get to those in just a minute. Okay, so after fall quarter, in this example, the student did not restore their unit average the entire year and remained on academic notice process. They may be waiting to take additional units for minimum progress in the summer in order to not overload their other quarters. Once in good standing for minimum progress, you are out of the academic notice process. If you enter academic notice again for units after achieving good standing, the process starts over again. So we'll review some of these important dates for planning towards the end of our presentation, but you can see here the steps that this student took. So they were, like we said, academic notice after first quarter, academic notice continued after their second quarter, final academic notice after their third quarter. So they were required to meet with the dean's office in spring of 26. And then you can see in summer of 26, the student was recommended to take courses at a UC or community college to catch up on units. So the goal for fall of 26 is to achieve good standing by making up those units. So anything that you take in the summer, it just creates a padding for the next quarter. So summer does not count against you if you don't take anything, but it is beneficial if you do take courses and you pass those classes and you get your minimum progress back up to where it should be. All right, now let me take a look at the Q&A. Alina's got it, awesome. Yes, thank you. Okay, let's move on. Some common reasons.
Yeah. So again, achieving good academic standing can be a process. And it's important that you evaluate what has brought you to this spot in your academics. So when you came to UC Davis, you might have come with expectations of doing well. Sometimes unexpected challenges or situations that are outside of your control can occur. The transition to UC Davis can sometimes be harder than anticipated. It is a very large university. Most people aren't from Davis, so they're coming from out of town. You're far away from home, you're far away from your community, from your friends. The quarter system is super fast-paced, as you know. So there can be a lot of reasons. And it's very normal for it to take a little bit of time to get adjusted to all of that. It is also not uncommon to feel behind or unsure about where to go for help. Anything from study habits, personal or family issues that come up, if your financial situation changes, or if you become ill or injured, all of those things can have an impact on your academic performance. Here, Ashley's going to click on the bubbles that will appear, and those are a few common reasons why students have faced academic difficulty in the past. And so please reflect on what happened this last quarter and what were maybe the challenges that occurred in this last academic year. Now is the time to adopt new habits to support successful future quarters. Hopefully this summer also gives you a little bit of a break, a little bit of time to stop, reflect, maybe recalibrate a little bit so you can go into fall a lot stronger. And as it says here, time management, work hours, physical and emotional health. Maybe your schedule is really heavy, being away from home. It's very natural to feel homesick. Maybe your study habits, a lot of times, maybe what was working in high school or community college isn't working for the classes that you're taking now. Again, if the quarter system is a lot faster paced, maybe you need to readjust the ways that you've been studying. But Ash, can you go into the next slide, please, and start the poll?
Getting that going for you. All right, so our next poll, some contributing factors. So let me launch that. Hold on, it still says something's being out. So I was still sharing that other one. Okay. All right. So that is launched.
Thank you. Yeah. So please take the next few seconds to select from the list what you believe was the main reason that your quarter maybe didn't go as planned. So things like, again, work hours, if you were working a lot, if you had financial challenges, time management or study habits, family challenges, again, health, either physical, mental, emotional, maybe roommate issues or housing issues, your course schedule, maybe the internet or your computer wasn't working. We know that happens too. And of course, if those things are happening, of course, that's going to impact your academics. And we're seeing here a lot of answers, especially with time management and also with physical and emotional health. But as well with housing challenges, class schedule, financial challenges, work hours. Thank you so much for participating in this poll, even though it is anonymous. It does, require a certain level of openness and vulnerability. So thank you so much for sharing that with us. And hopefully you also see that you're not alone. A lot of folks are dealing with the same issues that you are. So now we know that how you can get through this process of academic notice and return to good academic standing with a reasonable and realistic plan. There are a variety of campus resources to support and help you. It is important that you seek advising so you know your options. We talked about some of the factors that may have impacted your classes and your grades. So again, some things might be out of your control, but please consider any changes or things that you may need to do to address and create a plan of action to help you reach those academic and personal goals that you may have here at UC Davis. You are not alone in this process, so there are many resources and advising options that can help. We will be covering some of them in future slides. Be aware that while you are not in good academic standing, you can't change your major, and you also can't change letter graded classes to pass no pass on Schedule Builder. So if a class by default is only offered as pass no pass, that is totally fine. You can take those classes. Some seminars are like that, but you can't change a letter graded class to pass no pass. If at any time during the quarter you start to struggle, or if just life stuff happens, again, if you get sick, if you lose your job, if you need your computer breaks, anything that might happen, that you feel like is starting to affect your academic progress, please seek advising. Please come to the dean's office. We have quite a few advisors. We all care a lot about you. So please come talk to somebody to explore what options you have for the quarter. Because the quarter, as you know, goes by so fast, it is really important that you reach out for support as soon as things start not going according to plan, instead of just waiting till the very last minute where it's too late for us to do anything. Many students experience academic notice at some point in their undergraduate experience. It is normal. So we are here to support you through this process. For you, it might feel like you're the only one, but we are supporting students in this process all the time. So nothing will faze us. Come and see us.
Okay, and then just to build on that, so there are many resources on this campus. As you all know, this campus is huge. There's some places you will never step foot unless you seek it out specifically. So we just want to share some places that we're familiar with that we feel will be really helpful for students who are going through this process. And there are many campus resources that address your needs as a whole person, not just focusing on your academics, but also your mental well-being, your physical well-being. As some of y'all mentioned, housing stressors, family stressors, all of those things come into play and affect your success here at UC Davis. So just to highlight a couple, counseling services obviously is a huge resource for students. We have students all the time who just need some extra support in mental health areas. They need some guidance on how to handle life situations. So that's become a huge support for them. Student Health and Counseling Services offers counseling support in a group setting as well as individual one-on-one therapy. And this is being recorded for anyone who's wondering. I know we had a question in the Q&A there, and we will share it out afterwards. The Student Health Counseling Center also has satellite embedded counseling providers. So we have someone here in the dean's office who holds hours every week. They also have an office in the South Hall, I believe. We can provide direct referrals also to students who are struggling and need some support. There's the community advising network. So these are advisors all over campus. So some of you may have used El Centro, Women's Resource Center. EOP is a huge provider of resources for our students. Just to name a few, there's many more. They also provide resources for food insecurity, online mental health, and many, many more. Food nutrition, there is a free food truck here on campus. There's lots of food being given out every day at the food pantry. If you are struggling in any way, shape, or form with food insecurity, please seek out those resources. You cannot focus if you have not eaten. So please make sure that you do that. Also wellness programs. So really focusing on holistic well-being, meditation. I know I thought it was silly when I was an undergrad, but now I just long for a moment where I can sit in silence and just have my own thoughts. So take advantage of these resources that are available to you. Focus on your well-being as a whole person, and that will automatically impact your abilities as a student as well. Okay. And then we'll move to the next slide. So here's a visual representation of where some of these resources are. So as I mentioned, Educational Opportunity Program, EOP. We have our Transfer Reentry Center, Women's Resource Center, and at the MU, we have a lot of our cross-cultural centers. So El Centro, Lotus Manna, Veteran Success, Student Involvement. And then for our international students, we have the International Center. We heavily encourage our international students to reach out to those advisors whenever there's academic difficulty, they have questions, just anytime that something is confusing or you need help with something. We also have our embedded international counselor here, who is Andra, who is more than happy to help you if you are an international student as well. And then we have some more cross-cultural centers at the Student Community Center. We have our Manasa Undocumented AB 540 Center, LGBTQIA Resource Center, and then our Retention Center there. And then over in South Silo, we have CADS, which is our Center for African Diaspora Student Success. So all of those are there to support you, whatever your needs may be, whatever your identities and your background, we are here to support you. So finding your place in the Aggie community is an important aspect of your academic success. And if you're just looking for a new place to study or looking to make friends and connections, all of these places on campus are meant for that purpose and have been here to support students for many, many years and hopefully many more to come. They have individual programming activities and support staff as well. So we'll pop that link into the chat. If you're unfamiliar, you can check out these different centers and see what works for you. So let me pop that in the chat. There we go. Okay. And then, as I mentioned, this is more specific information for our international students. If you all don't know where SISS is, take a photo of this, save their email, save their phone number, go take a walk over there, whatever works best for you to get this information. Okay, moving on. And then some more info on the retention centers. As I mentioned, they want to address you as a holistic student, not just focusing on your grades, but how they can help you overall. And I know we're running a little short on time, so we'll try to speed up a little bit. The tutoring center, if you're not familiar with the tutoring center, heavily recommend you go there. I also recommend the students look at the specialist websites because there is a YouTube channel and there are video examples of every walkthroughs of every class. So like math, the calculus series, all the calculus series, the chem series, the bio series, there are video walkthroughs of different problems and how to approach them. So heavily recommend seeking that out as well. And then Aggie Compass.
Yeah, so like Ashley mentioned earlier, if you are worrying about, how to pay your bills, where you're going to sleep, what you're going to eat, of course you're not going to be paying attention to class. Who cares about chemistry if you are hungry or tired or just stressed overall about other things? So if those are things that are impacting your ability to focus on class and just your overall holistic wellness, please go to Aggie Compass so they can help with basic needs. So again, finances, food, housing, mental wellness. There is a form that you can complete to indicate what needs you might have, and then a staff member will reach out and provide resources and support. Their main office is also located in the first floor of the MU, down the same hallway as the pantry. So please use Aggie Compass if that is something that you need or you could benefit from. That's what it's there for. Moving on to the next slide. So again, as a student in the College of Ag, you have a wide network of support. So that includes your major advisors who can help you with major specific questions like what classes should I be taking? How do I get more involved in my major? What research opportunities are available for my major? What can I do with my major after undergrad? You also have the dean's office, which is us, and we can help you explore different majors. We can also answer questions about the university, about any university, GE, or college requirements that you might need for graduation, any other general questions that you may have. Anything specific to academic standing is something that dean's office advisors can support you with. And also, even though we specialize in certain areas, as you see, major advisors and dean's office advisors, both of us, both the major and the deans, can connect you with campus resources and also introduce you to other co-curricular opportunities that you can get involved in for your major or your college. You can also work with faculty advisors in your major who are experienced professors that can help you tailor your major to your interests, and also peer advisors who are current UC Davis students So they can tell you what classes they've enjoyed in the major, what maybe instructors they recommend, what strategies they have for getting involved in the major or research or classes. Faculty advisors, even though they're very fancy people, they are faculty advisors for a reason. They want to talk to students, they want to support students. So please, I know it's easier said than done, but don't be intimidated by them because they generally chose that job because they like students. So yeah, don't be afraid to ask for help in your educational journey. So again, if you have any questions or if you just have a general question and you don't really know who to ask, the dean's office is always a great place to start. And if we're not the right people to answer those questions, we can definitely guide you and refer you to those people who can. So let's consider our mindset now that we've talked about different things. Of course, hindsight is always 2020. Reflect back on the quarter, any challenges that you faced, what could have helped you have a different academic situation. Examples of that could be using academic services or office hours, maybe having a better balance of work and school, or a more balanced course load, maybe taking fewer units, improving time management, etc. So there are, like we talked about, so many things at UC Davis to help you. So with that many resources, it can sometimes be overwhelming to sort through all of them. So again, if you don't know where to start, just come in and chat with us. We can review those available resources with you and create a plan that is sustainable and makes sense for your individual situation. So this can be your wake-up call, so to speak, for change and improvement. Think about framing your situation positively. Don't say in the past, what's done is done. You had a bad quarter. That's okay. It happens. We hope that now you have a better understanding of how that came to be and why you are on academic notice, maybe what challenges you face, and then maybe what could have been done differently. And that could either be things that you could do or resources that you could use. Maybe that could be as easy as come see somebody at the dean's office as soon as things are getting hard. This is your opportunity to return to good academic standing and be the successful student that you know you are and that we know you are. You are already in Davis. You made it here. We admitted you, so we know that you deserve to be here. You've earned your place. So we have a partnership here with you. Let's work together to support you and get you back into good academic standing.
Okay, let's create an action plan and build on the community support that you have. So it may be uncomfortable at first to discuss your personal academic challenges, but remember, we are your partners and we're here to help you succeed. So if you've been trying to resolve your issues on your own, this is the time to seek support. Early intervention is always the best intervention. Allow us to connect you with the resources, with the advising. I did not utilize advising resources when I was an undergrad, so I made things a lot harder for myself, and I did things on my own. Thankfully, I was able to navigate it, but I went to Fresno State, and that's not UC Davis. UC Davis is so much more complicated and intricate with the way that our system is because it is a quarter system. So sometimes you just need help. You need help figuring out what is the best direction for you to go in. We hear a lot from students about, they didn't want to come to advising because they didn't want to bother the advisors, or they felt they could do it on their own. Some students felt shame in asking for help and reaching out, or letting their family or themselves know that they've not done well and they've let themselves down. I am a first-gen college graduate. I know how hard it can be to navigate these things. I know how hard it can be to not have, familial support or any kind of support, or there's cultural expectations on you, or whatever the situation may be. We know that when asking for advice, you're not being inconvenient for us. You're not bothering us. This is our job. This is why we are here. We are here to serve you as our students to help you get through this challenging experience. We're pride, ego, shame, fear, strong sense of obligation, being independent. These things may hold you back from achieving success and your goals if you don't use resources to support your success and yourself. So students don't set out planning to end up in academic difficulty. It's a stumble, it's something that happens, but you belong here, you can succeed. As Andra said, you are here. You earned your admission to UC Davis, and we want to help you be successful in your goals, and we want to support you. So think about what changes you can make, what campus resources you can use, how often will you use them, and how are you going to hold yourself accountable? So just some things to think about after today's session and what we could do moving forward.
So let's think about at least one resource that you can use to help yourself next quarter. As you make your decision, think about how you will ensure that you will use this resource, and also consider creating a manageable action plan to help you use that resource that you selected. So again, we're going to launch a poll, and that will be this about choosing that thing that you might plan to explore or do differently. It could be like learning strategies, utilizing study groups and or tutoring, maybe having a better balance of work and social life and family commitments, maybe talking to somebody for mental health support, maybe office hours with instructors, maybe building community a lot of times, just having friends that keep you accountable, maybe having study groups or doing homework with other people is a lot easier sometimes than just doing it alone in your dorm. And so we have a variety of answers here, including some study related ones, also some community building ones, and some mental health support ones. So thank you so much for participating in the poll.
Okay, sorry, I had find my mute button there. So for those of you who are interested in summer session, are currently enrolled, are looking to enroll in session 2, here's some information. So the classes run from session 1, June 22nd to July 31st. So maybe still have time to add something for session 1, but definitely depends on the class. And then session 2 is August 3rd to September 11th. Registration is open. You can register at any point in time now. Community college. So if you are thinking about taking community college classes, use assist.org to check articulation. It's very easy. You go on there, you select the department you're in, and you can see directly which class will transfer from the community college to here. And if you have questions or you need some assistance, please ask us at the dean's office, ask your major advisor to make sure that you get credit for the classes you're going to take. As we mentioned in the summer, you can take classes without approval. During the regular quarter, you are not able to take a class simultaneously without approval from the dean's office. If you want to discuss your plans for summer and future courses, please meet with the dean's office and your major, especially now that you're in academic notice. We want to set you up for success and make sure you have all the resources that you need to plan your schedule appropriately, including repeats, GPA boosters, major requirements, all of those kinds of things. If you're adding or changing classes after this first week of summer, just be careful about what you're trying to add, especially if it's a major course, and then always keep an eye on those drop deadlines. So the last day to drop a class during summer session is Friday of the first week. So that would be tomorrow for session 1. And please don't forget to submit transcripts if you do decide to take a course outside of UC Davis. And that's usually done through Parchment. Okay, and then our next slide. Just some important dates for fall. So you all should know where the registrar's calendar is. If you do not, please favorite that on your browser. First day of instruction is September 23rd. You can see some drop deadlines there, pass no pass deadlines, last day of instructions. So the last day to drop a course with a late drop permission petition. December 4th, and the last day to submit a cancellation or withdrawal for the quarter. So please keep an eye on these drop dates. Many students come to us. They're like, I didn't realize it was a 10-day drop. I need to drop this class. And then we have to go into a more formal petition process. So please keep an eye on those, save yourself some time, and check in with your major if you are not sure about a course you are in, if it is a major course, if there's a replacement for it, and so on. Be careful of the registration freezes. Again, we'll drop the link for the register calendar in the chat. Talk with your professors. If you're going to be adding a class late, please ensure you go to all class sessions if you're waitlisted for a course so you don't fall behind on material. And then just remember the pass to pass deadlines. And then if you are not in good standing for grades, you are not eligible for pass no pass grading. So please keep that in mind if that's something you'd like to do. Okay. And then let's do some review.
All right.
So we're going to start a poll.
We're going to start the next poll again. We just did the same. We did a pre-test. Now we're doing a post-test. Thank you, Evelyn. I know we've been a little too chatty, so we're running out of time. So thank you for bearing with us. But yeah, so what is academic notice on the basis of GPA? So we did the pre-test. Let's see if we explained things well enough. And 13 folks did say be below a 2.0 or above a 1.5 is academic notice on the basis of GPA. And you are correct. Thank you so much for participating. Let's move to our next poll, which is the same thing, but for minimum progress. So, academic notice on the basis of unit. Again, most folks are answering B, which is in order to be in good academic standing for minimum progress, the student must pass an average of at least 12 units in all full-time quarters. And you are correct. Thank you very much for participating. I hope it means that Ashley and I explained our information well enough and we were effective communicators.
Okay, well, we have some advising information here. Sorry. So if you are trying to meet with us in the next couple weeks, just know that drop-ins are the only option for students who are not subject to dismissal. So since you all are academic notice, you'll need to utilize drop-ins until you receive messaging that the calendar is open again. So if you're trying to make an appointment in the system, you will not be able to do so for the next couple weeks. Drop-ins are available both in person and via Zoom. And that drop-in deadline for limited advising is July 20th. So after July 20th, you'll be able to make an advising appointment. So we can book typically 2 weeks out. So if you need to be seen quickly after July 20th, you may want to call our front desk, see what the next available appointment is, and just keep an eye on that appointment calendar. And if you plan on canceling, please cancel at least 24 hours in advance. So this gives us a chance for another student to have that appointment slot. And then you can scan that QR code if you don't know how to access our advising page. And lastly, if you have any questions, here's where to find us. So we are in Marac Hall, right next to the nice pond. I call it a pond. I think it's a lake technically. But we're in Marac Hall on the first floor. You walk in and we're just to the side. We're open 9 to 12 and then 1 to 4. We are closed 12 to 1 for lunch. There's our email address, our social media, our phone number. So whatever questions you may have, please feel free to come by for drop-ins, email us, call us, make an appointment. Okay, If you want to stick around, we will answer questions. If not, we are technically at the end of our session. I'll hang around for a few minutes. Our Q&A seems to be all taken care of. If you have additional questions we did not answer today, please feel free to email the advising address on the screen there, caesadvising@ucdavis.edu. Otherwise, we hope you all have a wonderful day. Take care of yourselves and please seek advising if you have questions. All right, everyone.
Thank you, Ash, for being my co-host.
And thank you to all our helpers in the chat. We appreciate you. All right. Goodbye, everyone. Take care. You're welcome, Jessica. You do not have to meet with an advisor. So for our Q&A, academic notice, it's heavily recommended to meet with an advisor. It is not required of you, but we definitely would like you to check in with your major advisor at minimum, just to make sure you're on track. You have an academic plan set up, you know what you're supposed to be taking, and you know what your options are for classes during summer and fall. Yeah, no, we want you to be eager and try to do these things. We definitely appreciate that. So no worries.